Drawing the human head is the most intriguing and complex part of illustration. Like you, I work at getting better at drawing whenever I can find the time. These instructions are a slight variation on the Loomis process and also incorporate the Marvel way. William Andrew Loomis, better known as Andrew Loomis, was an American illustrator, author, and instructor. He also attended the Art Institute of Chicago. His book, Drawing the Head and Hands, is still widely referenced today, even though the book was published in the 1940s. Let's get started. This demonstration is done using Autodesk's sketchbook on a tablet. The concept is pretty straightforward. You start by drawing a circle, then draw in the vertical line of how the face will be oriented. Next, you draw in a horizontal line which indicates the brow. The lines are straight and perpendicular because we are drawing a face that is not turned in any direction, so it ends up looking like a big plus sign. The next step is to cut off two small pieces off the sides of the circle. Those two reductions allow you to draw in two more lines which define the first 2/3 of the human face. Because the face is generally divided into 3 equal parts, we can measure the first 2 to establish where the jawline is going to be drawn in. Once you have sketched in the basic proportions of your face drawing, you can refine it to resemble your subject. Not everyone looks like a mannequin, so subtle refinements are almost always needed. Drawing a face and a straight side profile works with the same steps. Let's show this using a couple of photos. The top, middle, and bottom horizontal lines of the inner circle allow us to find the first 2/3 of the face. Drawing a third line equidistant and parallel to the first 2 allows us to find the jawline. Labeling these lines makes a lot more sense. You can see that we have the hairline, the brow line, the eye line, which is the shorter line that drops just below it at the bottom of the nose, the mouth, which is just above center between lines 2 and 3, and then the jawline. Let's try that exercise again. This time we'll draw a gentleman from the opposite profile. Put in a big circle, small circle, vertical and horizontal targets that basically depict where the head is tilted. Now that we've found our 2/3, we can drop a line down to form that third section where the jaw is going to be drawn in. This model has a pretty angular jaw, but the connection points are the same, right just past the front of the ear. Nearly 20 years after the death of Andrew Loomis, How to Draw the Marvel Way was published. This book was authored by Stan Lee and John Buscema. Like Andrew, John could really draw, and he helped redefine the comic book industry for decades. Let's look at drawing the same face profiles the Marvel way. The head drawn in profile fits into the square on the left, with the nose and the chin protruding slightly. If we replace their guidelines with Loomis lines, things still work out pretty well. We can find the 3 divisions in the face. One thing I really like about this visual illustration is how the base of the skull is not a perfect shape and it kind of rounds in. And the profile of the face tapers correctly from the cheeks. This probably came from years of experience of drawing faces, but it's an important little detail. You can see the curvature of the back of the skull a little easier in this anatomical drawing. You'll notice that my guidelines, especially on the side profile, are flat, but the face is not flat at all. And often the lines of a sphere are way too rounded to use as guidelines in all parts of the face. You almost have to think in terms of how much roundness or wrapping on different planes of the face lines go, and it makes it easier to achieve realism that way. If you get the time or ambition, try your hand at sculpting. You will discover so many little nuances, shapes, and crevices on the human face. Even though I was doing these sculptures for a completely different purpose, it really helped my drawings become better. In part 2 of this series, we will look at drawing a human head from multiple angles and in perspective as well. That's a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you liked the video, please subscribe and share. If you don't like the video, thank you for hanging around so long. You can also enjoy the first chapter of Time Rejects by checking out the links below.